Makoto Shinkai is known for creating some of the most gorgeous looking anime you'll ever see, and his latest film, Suzume, is no different. As soon as I heard there was a new Shinkai film coming out, Suzume instantly became my most anticipated watch of the year. And just a few weeks ago, I walked into a luckily, or sadly, empty movie theater to watch it. Suzume follows a 19-year-old high school student of the same name and Sotaka Madakata, who team up to prevent a series of disasters across Japan. Suzume is another entry in Shinkai's series of urban fantasy films, which include Your Name and Weathering with You. I first want to get a few negatives out of the way. In terms of pure scale and spectacle, Suzume is Shinkai's biggest film yet. The set pieces are epic, and the magical forces are more extreme than they've ever been. This, of course, leads to the first problem with the film. The magic is hard to follow. None of it is out of place, but unlike Your Name and Weathering with You, which both include only one main magical element, Suzume is dealing with several at once. The magic system of the world of Suzume feels a bit like it's following the plot and themes of the film rather than any concrete rules. Problem number 2, Suzume suffers from some pacing issues. By the time the main conflict is wrapped up, the movie still has around a half an hour left to go. The individual door-closing missions go by a bit too fast, and there wasn't quite enough time devoted to the thematic importance of the film's ending. I would have loved it if Suzume had been 3 hours instead of 2, but I understand that would have been ridiculously expensive. Suzume deals with a common theme in modern Japanese art and storytelling: disasters and the trauma that accompany them. The themes are similar to those in Your Name, but Suzume focuses on a more personal aspect. Suzume's trauma after losing her mother is very well expressed, and you quickly understand and empathize with what she's going through. I do think that the thematic climax of the film comes too suddenly, and I never really felt that Suzume had come to terms with her trauma. Now, the positives. Suzume may not be as good as Shinkai's 2 prior works, but it is still a blast of an animated film. First, the animation, which is of course utterly stunning. It's not the most beautiful film Shinkai's ever made, but it still makes most films bland by comparison. In terms of character animation, Suzume is one of the most impressive animated films I've ever seen. One of the characters is transformed into an animated chair, and the way it moves is so realistic and satisfying. The chair is missing a leg, which causes it to be off-kilter with whatever it does. This single detail makes the animation infinitely better and had my jaw on the floor the entire time. The characters are great, with Suzume probably being Shinkai's best written protagonist. Sota is also really good, but when it comes to making this movie an animated romance, he does very little to do anything but friend zone this film. But he does provide most of the good comedy in the movie. Tamaki is Suzume's aunt, and is the best written character Shinkai's ever created. Her buried anger at Suzume for having to raise her and therefore give up most of her life caught me completely off guard. I wasn't expecting such a raw and realistic moment in this movie, and I commend Shinkai for being able to slow the plot down for this amazing scene. Daijing is the fluffiest being of chaos I've ever seen. His misunderstanding with Suzume wasn't that satisfying. It doesn't make much sense, but I don't mind it that much. Makoto Shinkai has a knack for writing such sweet and likable characters, and Comics Wave Films has a knack for designing some of the cutest characters in all of anime. Anyone who has seen Suzume knows who I'm talking about. Surazawa Tomoya, and the new MVP of Shinkai characters I am now in love with. Radwimps again knocks the score for this film out of the goddamn park. This may be the finest score they've ever done, which is saying so much. The title card of this film, and I hate to admit this, is my favorite part of the entire movie. It's so epic, spiritual, and peaceful at the same time. Every single time I see it, I get chills. All in all, Suzume is the kind of film we don't get often, and it is a must-watch this year. I highly recommend it to anyone and everyone.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for upcoming videos. Thanks!